Welcome, fellow I Wanna Makers or anyone interested in making their own personalized fan game. This will be a short and simple video tutorial on how to get started with GameMaker 8.2, going over basic essentials to get you started. First of all, why even go through the effort of making a game when you can just create levels easily in I Wanna Maker? The short answer is that GameMaker has no limitations for your creative ideas. You can create your own or import existing visuals, use any songs you like, and in many instances, it's a lot easier to create your own gimmicks or bosses. The last bit is definitely a little bit more advanced, so let's just start with step 1. This website is where you'll be able to download GameMaker 8.2, and all the important links for downloads and such will be in the video description. So you boot up this website, you head on over to downloads, get the download setup wizard, and you're good to go. Next up, we'll need an engine, because we don't want to make the whole game from scratch. Now, you don't want to code the player physics and go through all that. That's already been made by a lot of engines that we can use, and there's different engines to use for GameMaker 8.2, but for the simplicity of the video, with an engine that essentially carries the essentials for getting you started, I personally go for the Verve engine. So, again, link in the description. Following the link, it'll bring you to this website. And my first time visiting this website, I wasn't quite sure how to download this, so you click on code and you go to download zip. So now that we have both GameMaker and the Verve engine, we first go ahead and unzip this engine. Then we can go ahead and open the folder. Open up Verve GM 8.2 main, go to source, and there it is. At the very bottom should be the engine. It could give you like a few pop-ups when you initially launch this, like fonts missing and all that. Just click OK, it shouldn't really matter. Alright, let's first start the game to see if the engine works. You could click this green arrow right here, or if you tapped into the window, you can just hit F5 and it'll start the game. So I don't know if this is a me problem, but whenever I freshly download this engine, I always get this error. So in case you also got it, let's try and fix this right now. So you want to open scripts, go to events, and go to event game start. This is the window that causes this error. So we want to like comment all of this out. So you can either like delete this as a whole, or what I like to do, I like to keep it around with like a slash, a star, and then a star and a slash here. This marks this whole area as like excluded. What you could also do to comment something else is like put slash slash in front of every line. Just takes a little bit more effort, but it's the same idea. This way you can do individual lines, and if you do a slash star and star slash at the start and the end, you can pretty much like mark a whole area as excluded. So now let's hit F5 once again and see if it works. Nice. Now I can play the game as it was just a normal ass fan game, and there we are. So right now we're in debug mode, which means if you hold left control, you can hit a bunch of key combinations. For example, left control and page up gets you to the next room, page down to the previous room. If you hold control and insert or home, that's how you save. Control and delete shows you the hitbox, and you can toggle it off again by hitting the same combination. Left control and end gives you infinite jump. Left control and position 1 gives you God mode, for example. So there's a bunch of different little combinations that can help you test play your game or get through your game quicker, where you don't have to like replay every part. So this gives you just a bunch of like default rooms that you can mess around with, see like what you have available, slopes, warps, killer blocks, gravity, ice blocks, conveyors, all that. Just get yourself accustomed. This is the trigger room where you can see, okay, this is a simple, pretty much a trigger tutorial, which we'll go over later as well. You can always open up this room to see like how all of these different interactions were coded, to give you an idea what you can achieve using said triggers and the trigger system in this game, which is fucking fantastic in my opinion. So now that the game works, we can close the scripts menu right here, and let's get started on making a first room. So we head on over to rooms, we right click, and then it gives you the option to create a new room. There you go, there it is, room 13. We can rename this to whatever. I like to give my rooms a prefix with a small r, and then, I don't know, intro or R stage 1, whatever you want to call it. You can always rename these rooms later. So we got a first room. Neat. Let's open it and see what it looks like. It opens in the external room editor. Bless. And as you can see, it's fucking empty. Alright, so let's get started. In the top left here, we have 6 mysterious symbols. Right? We have instances, tiles, halves, background, views, and room settings. So the instances are your objects that you can place down in the room. If we go all the way down here in this little box, we can left click, and then it gives you a list of things that are already in the engine. For example, a block. Whoa! Alright, let's select that, and now you can see it's in the shortcut menu. It's right here. So every object you place in a room is going to be in the shortcut menu, so you can easily access them without having to, find them in the list again. Alright, so we can place blocks. That is fantastic. If you don't want to click for each individual block, you can also just hold left click and drag, like this. Ooh. Now, deleting a block, right? You could either left click and hit delete. It's gone, just like that. Or there's also a shortcut for deleting. So you want to hold left shift, hold right mouse button, and then you can go all over your placed objects to delete them. Just keep in mind that if you have objects on top of one another, it's going to delete both of them, so you want to be careful using this. Alright, so here we have some simple platform structures. Though I would love for it to be like move to the left a little bit. We can achieve that by holding left shift, and then you can hold left click to mark an area. Now that that's all marked, we hold left shift and press the left arrow key to move it 32 pixels to in any direction really we want. You can just use the arrow keys for that. And if you want to select an individual pillar, like you think this one should go to the right or down, whatever, you can move individual areas like this as well. Now, a very essential thing you should place in your room is in the player folder, which is just called player start. You don't want to place the actual player, just the player start object, so the game knows where to spawn in the player. If we go over to saves, there's our save object. I'm choosing save hard because the save medium object will get deleted in case you select the hard difficulty. So this save will always be there. If we go to blocks, we have a save blocker. So a block that your bullets can't go through, which we could just place here and here, why not? And now we want to go look for the spikes. Those are in killers. It's right there, we have the spike up. We can start creating some basic platforming right here. Now, I would like to build a spike pyramid right here, like a Triforce, but I can't do it. It doesn't snap right. So in order to change the snap, we go to the top left here. You can turn on the grid here to like kind of visualize it. Right now, this is the snap of the rim. So if we edit this value, this is the X value, 16 and 16, boom. And now you can see how the grid got affected. Let's turn it off because it's fucking ugly. But so now I'm able to move the spikes in smaller steps. So now I can create my lovely little Triforce. Add some down spikes for flavoring. Now let's see how this room would look like in the game. We don't have to exit out of the editor, just hit F5 and it's gonna launch the game. Now you wanna hold left control and page up to the room that we built, which is right here. Oh no! Oh no, right? Okay, so what did we learn? The blocks that we place down are invisible, but they are solid. We were able to stand on them. So now we want to add visuals. And this we can do in the second tab called tiles. So we can add a tile set right here. And there's already a background default tile set in the game. Let's select that. Perfect. You can hold your scroll wheel to like kind of move around in this. You can even make it bigger if you'd like. Scroll in, whatever you prefer. All right, and now here's the tiles. So let's just go for some simple Mega Man tiling for now. Same as before, you can just hold left click. Oops, I misclicked. So once again, I can just hold left shift and right mouse button to drag and delete. All right, now we have filled everything in, and don't worry about these X blocks being on top of your tiles, again, they'll be invisible in game, so it's all good. Now, I do want to change the color of my background. So we looked at instances and tiles. Now we're gonna take a look at the background right here. And if you don't have any pre-existing backgrounds, right now we have background Mega Man. I guess we could go with that as well, but if we have no background selected, you can change the color here. Give it a menacing, desaturated red. And right there, boom. Perfect. Now if we take a look, by hitting F5, here's a room. And we can play it. And we can dye 2 spikes. And it works, and it's beautiful. But it's too short! Let's make a bigger room, shall we? Alright, that brings us to a new tab called Room Settings. Whippy! Alright, these are all dimensions of the room. 800 by 608, that's the normal pixel size of a Fangame room. 50 FPS, very good. So if we double this to 1600, there we go. Our room is twice as big, but the camera won't actually follow the player to the next room. Oh no! Okay, so to fix this, we go to World, and we place a camera object in the room. Problem solved. Just like that. So we can extend the platform right here to go to the next room and see if it works. Right, here we are in the game once again. And another really sweet debug tool that I didn't mention yet is if you hold left control, point with the mouse cursor where you want to get teleported to, and then hit tab, boom, you get teleported, so you don't have to replay this segment. You can just hop on over there, and as we can see, it works. The camera lets us progress to the next room. And you can obviously extend the room like downwards as well. Double the value would be 1.1216, and yeah, the camera would follow you down there, for example. For this level though, keeping it horizontal will do the trick. Let's go over the trigger feature real quick. So if we open the trigger menu right here, we can place a trigger, so you can place it down, and if you hold the bottom right corner of the object, you can drag it down or to the right. You can like stretch it however big you want it to be. And keep in mind, it's going to be invisible, so it doesn't matter if it looks goofy right now. But I do want these 2 spikes to fly down once we go under them, so I'd have to place the trigger here. So once the player hits this trigger, these 2 spikes come flying down. So the first thing you do is we click the bottom left of this trigger, and it opens the menu here. We click on trigger and we need to give it a name. And it needs to come with quotation marks, so we could call this Spike Trap. You can give it really any name you want, just Spike Trap for now. Let's copy that, boom. And we need another object to tell the trigger what it's gonna do. And we have a lot of different options for that. So for now, if we just want the spikes to move down, the trigger move should do the trick. I personally always like to use trigger move 2. That one sets a position from, okay, the spike should move from this spot to this spot, and then it'll stop there. But for this simple trigger, we don't really need to go into all that detail, so trigger move will do the trick. We place it down, and again, bottom left to open up the menu, and we give it the same name with quotation marks. Spike Trap right there. Okay, that's set. But now, what instance or what object should it apply to? That's what's being asked here. So you hold left click from this, you click on it, hold left click, and you drag to the object that you want to select. So this is selecting the trigger. As you can see, it's being highlighted. This is selecting the right spike, but we want this spike to be selected. Okay, and here we set the speed. H speed stands for horizontal speed. So if I were to give the spike an H speed of 3, it would move right. H speed of -3, it will go left. And same here, vertical speed. If I were to give it a speed of 3, it would move down. And the negative speed of -3 would make it go up. Right? So positive speed is right down, negative speed left up. That's all you gotta remember for this segment. But so we wanted to move down, right? The speed of 3, for example, is the horizontal movement speed of the player. So you can imagine, okay, the player moves 3 pixels per second, so it would be like moderate speed. Not really fast, but also not really slow. Right now, since it's a trap though, we want it to be a little more speedy. So we could give it a V speed of, let's say, 5. right? And then it would come flying down already. That's all we need to set right here. Though, I'm gonna click on this once again, Control C, and then Control V. If I click Control V, it's gonna appear on my cursor. So right now, okay, the trigger's gonna appear here. I can drag it back because I want the other spike to fly down as well. So once again, we access this, and since we copied, all the values stayed the same instead of for the instance. Because, I mean, that doesn't matter since we want a new instance anyway, so we hold left click again, select this spike, boom, and now we have 2 triggers and 1 activator. So once we hit the spike, these 2 things will execute, and let's see what it does. I'm gonna save right here. And as we can see, they're still kind of slow, honestly, but you can't touch them. You gotta bait them, move out of the way, and you're good to go. So the trap works. This is all cool and good already, right? But I wish the stage would have some custom visuals, right? How do we achieve that? Let's leave the room editor for now. We can hit the save and close for now. We're done with that. We want to make our own visuals. So let's see, where's that tile set that we used? It's under backgrounds. If we go to tiles, there's the default tiles. Now you could draw over this, but I want to keep the default tile set, and I'll just right click tiles and create a background. I want to make my own tile set, right? We'll call it B new tiles. And then we go edit background. It'll give us a canvas of 64 by 64 pixels. I mean, that's fine, but I'll transform and resize the canvas to 32 by 32 for now, because we're just gonna start with our first block. And having a canvas like this makes it easier for us to draw what we need. So here we have the image editor. I usually, for a block, I start with draw rectangle, and then I don't want this to be filled, so I click this shape. Whichever color you have selected right here is gonna determine what color the rectangle is gonna be. So if I draw the rectangle with left click, it'll be black, because here's the left color is black. So like this. If I draw with right click, the rectangle will be white. And you can obviously change these colors, reselect them, however you like. But yeah, for now we're just gonna make a very simple shape for a block design. I suggest playing around with like the sprite editor to see like what tools there are. This one lets you, for example, select a region. So I could remove this. This checker pattern here means that it's transparent. So if I were to leave the sprite like this, then the middle segment here would be see-through, right? And some tiles could look interesting with see-through. It wasn't my intention to make a Geometry Dash fucking icon here, but I guess that is what we get. Okay, that's fine, cool. We made our tile. But it's not gonna be usable as a tile set right now on its own. So we need to click this little check mark here, use as tile set. And now it's asking us for the dimensions. So this block is 32 by 32 pixels. So we don't want it to be split in half. We're gonna update the value to 32 by 32, boom, and now it'll be usable. So back to the room editor we go. We can add a new tile set, and this time it's gonna be our tile. And there it is. We just have a singular block made for it. But since this would take ages, we're done deleting everything, I'm just gonna hit delete here, because this is our current layer that we're on. We're gonna delete that, and everything's gone. Just having one block like this does look kind of boring, doesn't it? So we can add more tiles to the mix. So we're gonna go back to new tiles, edit the background, gonna resize the canvas, and now have it set to 64 by 64. We don't want this to be in the middle, because what happens if we do that, our tile will stay in the middle of the image. So instead, we want it to extend down right. So we're gonna hit this arrow, so our image stays in the top left arrow, and it extends just like that. And now we get the chance to draw some connecting tiles. And since our base was like the Mega Man tile, so let's just keep it simple and draw some vertical and horizontal pillars here. All right, that's the pillars done. Beautiful. Also, when you have a color selected, you can change the saturation, the hue, and the luminance right here in this editor. Or if you want to edit the whole image, you can go to intensity and mess with the values here. This is the saturation value, so this is highly saturated, although it's already almost max. And here you can desaturate the image. So this would just be grayscale. But if we go to like a value of 100, it would soften the colors of the image. So we could do that. Just set it to 100. It's barely noticeable, but and then the other value messes with the brightness. So here we can make it darker, a lot brighter if you prefer that. Actually, that looks interesting. We have the corner piece, we have the sideways pillar, the vertical pillar. Now we're just missing the kind of the fill piece that goes in the middle of our structures. I'm just going to use the two colors here, make like a checker pattern. I can select this, copy, paste right here to speed up the process a little bit. So then have to draw this manually every single time. But I think I'd like this if this tile here was more transparent, like a little bit see-through. So I can edit the whole image and go to opacity. Have that set to maybe 75. Let's go with that. Now that'll obviously afflict the whole image. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this part, copy that, boom. And now I'm going to undo, so everything's back to normal. But I'm going to paste what I just copied, which is the transparent part, and place it over this. And this only works because it's set to replace. So anything I paste, as you can see, it replaces anything, even though it should like go over this and kind of like mix together, but it doesn't do that because it's not set to blend. If I have it set to blend, it does what you'd expect it to. It just goes over the thing, and that's not really the result that I'm seeking for. So replace and blend, gotta make sure you have it set to whatever you need right now. Okay, so this is already just a basic tile set, 4 tiles, and that's gonna work just fine. Okay, so that is all filled in. I also want to change the background to be a different color. This is our new stage with the custom tile set. And yeah, I think it works quite well for how simple it is. I do like the simple look it has. Okay, and now, that's funny because the tile set is so transparent, you can see the spikes going through. But that's not a big issue. Alright, and now we want custom spikes, which my approach for that is a little more complicated, since I don't want to change the default spike sprite. So spikes use sprites, so we're not going to make this in the background segment, because the background segment is for tiles, tile sets and all that. We can close that, and instead of making a new sprite, let's just look for killers right here. Sprite spike up. So we're just going to duplicate this. Maybe just drag it all the way down, and this is going to be a new spike sprite. So right now we already have a base for it. We can open that, rename it to SPR, standing for sprite, spike up 2. Very simple. Also, I would highly suggest that if you do rename your files, you do use the corresponding prefix. So for sprites, it would be SPR, just so like they'll be easier to find, or if you like want to reference them with code, that it's like this thing is not just called like Jonathan, you know, it's gonna be harder to find. For sprites, it would be SPR. For paths, it would be P at the start. For rooms, again, I'd go with R at the start. And I guess for objects, you don't really have to do it. Like they also didn't, you can just name it whatever you want. I would usually go with OBJ as a prefix, but it's not entirely necessary. So here we have our new spike sprite. We can edit, and then we can just freely modify this. If you want to get rid of like the middle part of the spike, you can select this selection tool, delete, 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 and then we have some leftovers here from the shine. Boom. And now we have a completely empty spike. And since we have the colors already selected here, the green and the blue, I'm just going to place these pixels here so I can always use them later on in case I change my colors now. I just decided to go with this simple shape. Although I do think it'd be nice to have maybe the middle of the spike be transparent, since we already have that theme kind of set. Yeah, not a work of art, but it works. And since we copied from SPR spike up, this is already set. But if we made a new sprite, this checkmark would be here. If it's not set, then the hitbox of the spike is gonna be the whole sprite. So it'd be a square. No. We want a precise collision check, so you only die to the parts that are drawn in the image. So if I were to put like 2 pixels here, this would be part of the killer now. You could die to these 2 pixels. Obviously we don't want that there. But yeah, so always, if you have like a object that's not a square killer, you want to make sure that this is set, just so the hitboxes make sense, right? I'm gonna duplicate this. We can simply mirror flip it. We don't want to flip it horizontally, we want to flip it vertically. So we have SPR spike down 2. Precise collision checking is checked. That's all good. All right. So I only used spike up and down in a room, so that's all we're gonna need for now. So now I want to code something in the room. So I don't actually want to use the external room editor for that. For changing creation code, I would turn this off. So this is the external room editor up here. You can toggle it by clicking. Now you can see it's turned off. So if you open the room, we have the old room editor where like placing tiles and placing objects and all that is much more inconvenient. As you can see, the trigger we have stretched doesn't even appear to be stretched because you can't fucking stretch it here. It's just a mess. It's bad, and you want to use the external room editor for like level design and placing all the tiles and making it look pretty, all that. But for code, I like to be able to right-click an object here, click on creation code, and it opens the code window, which it doesn't do in the external one. Okay, so I usually go for the player start to place this code. Creation code just means this code is gonna be executed once this object gets created, which is, it's already placed in the room, so it's at room start. And I want to change how these spikes look that we placed. So we're gonna go with, open parentheses, then I think they're just called spike up. Yeah, with spike up. Then open the curly bracket down here. Tab. And then sprite underscore index. So here we want to change how they look. Their sprite index is going to be the sprite that we just made. So SPR spike up 2 and close the curly bracket. And there we go. Spike up is now set to have this sprite index instead of the one I used before. And now we can just copy paste this for spike down like so. And yeah, so let's check if it works. All the spikes have changed their sprite index to the one that we set it to. Okay, let's say we're done with the room and I want to move on to a new room. We have the warp segment with either a room changer or warp. So the room changer is gonna be like invisible. If I had, let's say, if I had like a path going here to the next room, I'd have a room changer here, stretch it all the way. You hit this thing, you get sent to the next room. Well, we need to set that first, but that's the gist of that object. Although what you're probably more used to from a WannaMaker is the warp object that you can place anywhere and it's gonna lead you to the next room. Also, something I usually always do is have a wall placed outside the room so that the room border doesn't kill you. I don't like it when a room border kills you. I think that should always just be a wall. And you could do the same for the ceiling. You just want to be careful. If you use like upside down gravity gimmicks and all that, you're gonna be able to walk on the ceiling. So I don't mind the ceiling serving as a killer. I just usually block off the walls. Okay, so we have a warp. So we want to make a new room. For simplicity, we can just duplicate this room, call it our intro 2, and then we go to the tiles. You can just delete those. For objects, you can like mass select them. I don't want to delete everything, like I want to keep them room start for now, so I'm just gonna do it like this. Okay. And then we would have a new room here. We go back to our intro 1. So now all you need to do is for this warp, you again open the menu for it. Room 2, left click that, and now our intro 2 room already exists. We just select that and it takes you there. Hit the warp. And we're being brought to this room. We'll have like a new tile set, maybe this is stage 2. That's all up to you. So right now we made the tile set and the spike sprite ourselves, but if you already have a good spike sprite, you can always if you create a new sprite, you can click on load and then it'll let you import any like PNG or JPEG that you have as a spike sprite. And same for backgrounds. You can create a background and like load. If you already have like a fully made tile set, you can just load it there. Just remember to set it as tile set and set the dimensions. Now, making a new object is just as simple. Right click, create a new object. And here, again, if you really want to make that custom spike an object, you can do that. Object spike up to, for example. Here you click to select the sprite. So we already made that, so we can select it. Right now though, it's not going to kill you. It's just going to be there. So if we wanted to kill you, we gotta set the parent to player killer. Every object that has this parent will act as a player killer. It doesn't have to be a spike, it can be like an enemy or, you know, like a big orb of doom that you're not supposed to touch. So that's already set up. Boom. And it's set to visible. You can have it be invisible, although why? In our second room, now we would have the possibility to just add the spike. And it would already look the way you wanted it to. Though again, I think changing it with the creation code is a lot less effort, and plus you don't have to make a dedicated object for it. You just have it as a sprite and you don't need to make it a separate object. So it's not going to clog your files, right? Also, if you like make shit for like objects and shit, I would always recommend creating a group, calling it like, in our case, intro. You can call it stage 1, and then you put in all your things that you use in that stage, just to have it organized. If you have like a long game, 100 floor game or whatever, you don't want all the objects and sprites to just be like all over the place. I would recommend keeping it organized with folders. And to show you a little more what triggers can do, let's say, I mean, this is a nice trap, but we didn't quite like it. So let's take a look at my favorite trigger move to. It's the same deal. We give it the name of the trigger, which was just spike trap. Boom, copy that, and that goes in right there. We want this spike to be selected, and let's see, I wanted to like move to this position, right? You can always see the position in the top right. Right now I've placed it here. If you pay attention to the top right, the position changes based on how I move the spike. So right now we're just gonna want to memorize this. So 1264 and 384. It goes in there. So that's where the spike's gonna move to. Also, I do want it to be 5 was a little slow. Let's give it a speed of 6 this time. Okay. We have that. Control C, Control V. Select this spike. You just gotta make sure to update this X value to 1296. This spike is further right, so the X value needs to be adjusted as well. So these are the two values. Nice. So they start moving and they stop there. And now we have this more interesting maneuver where you gotta bait the spikes, but now it transformed to jump into something else. Now you just gotta jump over. Boom, next room, clear. Alright, so that works. And for more examples of how the triggers work, I would suggest you check out these rooms. There's these sample rooms, in this case, our sample triggers, and here you can see what the different types of triggers do. Everything is pretty much showcased. I was also asked how to make background tiles. And yeah, let's just add a background tile to our existing tile set. I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. So let's see, what would be a good background tile here? Yoink this one, copy, go back, replace it, and this is gonna be a background tile. It can go into the same tile set, that's totally fine. Okay, so if we go to tiles, we can see that right now we have the tile layer of 1000. So we want to add a layer, and as you can see, it's now at 900. Now, the lower the layer, the more in the foreground it is. So if we want it to be more in the background, we actually want this to be a higher value. So 1001, for example. And now we have two layers. So now you gotta be careful. If you place your tiles, you gotta make sure, okay, this is the normal layer that we are, and then this would be 1001 would be the background layer. So every tile that we place here now is not going to affect the tiles that we already placed. Like, I can't even select the tiles that we already placed because we're at the new layer. So now we can place our background tiles. Actually, I'm noticing that the background tiles are still in front of the spikes. So instead of deleting the layer, we can just adjust the value. Let's give it like 10,000. And that fixed it. And the same way, we can add a layer and let's give it -20. So this is in the negatives. This is gonna be in front of everything, right? Even in front of the player. Because the player, I think, has a depth of -10. So -11 would already be in front of the player. So yeah, -20 is definitely. Now we could have foreground tiles, right? We're just gonna have a tree here. Why not? Looks good. So this is how the background layering works. Now, obviously, you just gotta keep track of like not accidentally placing your normal tile set with a -20 value. Otherwise, you know, you just gotta keep track now. So let's check if it worked. Here we have the background tiles. I'm in front, the spikes are in front. And here's the tree, and we go behind the tree. But no stage is complete without a song. So let's see how we would go about that, adding a song to your game. So to add a song, we actually want to go into the folder, go to source, and then data. And here we have music and sounds. So if you want to add a sound, make sure it's a WAV file. And for songs, it should be an OGG file, right? And you'd like put the song in here. Right now we have Mega Man and Guy Rock. So we could use one of these two example songs. Let's go into the room. We want to place world and music player. And here you put in the name of the song. This time without quotation marks. For songs, you just do the name. So yeah, Mega Man, nice job. Mega Man. And we click on loop. And if it's a check mark, yes, the song will loop once it's done. If we click again, the song will only play once. So we go to our file, and the Mega Man song is playing. Doot, 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 doot. One more handy thing for tile sets, we set this to 32. You can set it to 16, and then if you hold left shift, you can click on your tile set and select a region that uses the 16 by 16 region, pretty much. So if you want to select just like a little corner piece of a tile set, you can do so in the room editor itself. Beautiful. So if this was our end room, we would want to go to items, and here's your game clear icon. So this needs to be hit by the player for you to get like the clear text, right, on your file. So I just spawn the player in and just have this go over the start position or whatever. So it's like you spawn in the room and you hit the thing and you cleared the game. Good job. Another thing is that you won't spawn into the room that you made right away. So we want to adjust that. So you go to the scripts, you go to engine settings, and here you can see the global first room is our sample. We want to change this line of code to our intro, so we spawn in our first room. You can also change the game title to whatever. Oh, I want to make a game. I want to make a game. And we don't want players to actually use the debug functions that we have with like teleporting and God mode. No, we want none of that. So here, global.debug mode is going to be set to false. And you want to set this before releasing your game, very important. So now if we test play the game, I want to make a game. The title already updated. We want to go for a new file just to see. Okay, the first room it sets us to is our intro. Perfect. So you gotta go through here, get into this portal, and this should take us. Oh fuck, I forgot. I forgot. Alright, cool. Boom. And it takes us here. And the clear object isn't visible, but if we hit F2, you can see a cleared file. We beat the game. And we don't have any debug tools, it doesn't work. So we can't teleport, we can't cheese anything. And that is essentially that. You made a game. It's 2 screens long and it's a banger, honestly. Alright, so how do we do the final step and turn this into like a game you can post on Delphoid? So you want to go to File, and you want to hit Create Executable and Save. And here's our game. But if we try and open it, oops, doesn't work. Because this game needs to be in a folder. And that folder that the game needs is right here. So this source folder, we can name it to how our game is called. And get it out. The like the GameMaker file doesn't need to stay in here. You can delete it or you can save it somewhere. So our game goes in. So it needs to be in the folder with all the like the data and all the sprites and whatever. So now if we try to run the game, there it is. Right. And everything works like it's supposed to. So this is the folder, and you can now right click and add to archive, make it a zip, bada bing, bada boom. And here is your finished product, finished game that you could upload to Delphoid. And be proud that you managed to make a game. Congratulations. Yeah, I mean, that should conclude all the basics that I wanted to show, and like how to make it happen. Obviously, this was a very surface level tutorial. I'm not opposed to like making a follow-up part that goes like a little bit more into detail about like certain features that you want me to talk about. Just again, keep in mind, I'm not like the expert on this topic. Like there's people 100 times smarter than me on this. I just wanted a simple, easy to follow tutorial on how to make a fan game, because it's not the most simple thing in the world. Like with all the like setting up the engine, getting GameMaker, and like how do I finish the game, how do I turn off debug tools. There's so many questions that don't have a very simple answer. So hopefully this little video tutorial showed you how to bring the game to life. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.